like and subscribe.
Welcome to Soulcast. I'm Iyare Igiehon. Our guest today is a singer-songwriter whose work spans R&B, soul and neo-soul and is rooted in a story that stretches from South London to Germany and back again. She's released 4 albums in the UK, from her critically acclaimed 2003 debut Untitled to her recently released My Love Story. She brings a perspective on longevity, creative autonomy and what it truly means to sustain a voice in this industry. Terri Walker.
Oh.
Welcome to Soulcast.
What an introduction. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking part. It's so good to have you here. And you know what? It's like one of the things that's really interesting to talk about is, you know, how you kind of get started on your sort of musical journey, because you were a stage school kid, right?
No, well, this is the thing. I have this conversation with people all the time. I mean, I always wanted to sing. I went to Italia Conti for 1 year,
Okay.
and I couldn't. And people always tell me, "Stop saying it out loud," but I couldn't stand it. It just wasn't for me. So, no, it just wasn't, because I wasn't. Even much as I loved watching Fame. Remember the show Fame?
Yeah.
I loved watching it. I loved watching all those kind of shows. But when I was actually in the environment, it wasn't for me.
Okay, wow.
Because it was always jazz, and it was. That's with me. I'm quite I'm a realist, and I'm quite I like things to be quite spontaneous. I don't really like things to be too rehearsed, and I like to kind of feel.
Yeah.
So and obviously when I was at the performing arts school, it's like if you didn't rehearse your steps or didn't know your lines, like people were always nervous and anxious. Yeah. And I'm not really a nervous, anxious person. I'm actually quite a go with the flow kind of person.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I wasn't really a stage school kid, no.
So that whole point was that you went there for a little while, but really realised that you were a musician rather than an actor, singer, dancer type.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's funny because even like me calling myself, I feel like only after this album do I really feel like I can call myself an artist. Yeah. After this album that I've put out recently, and that's like after 20 years in the game. So
wow.
It's mad, isn't it?
We'll talk about that, because one of the things that's most interesting to me about that album was, after all the time you've been in the industry, this feels like it might be the best thing you've ever done.
I feel so.
Yeah, I mean, honestly. And so it's quite interesting, because obviously at this point in your career as a music artist, what you're supposed to be doing is playing all the hits. Yeah. You're supposed to be coming up with new stuff that people love as much as the original stuff. You're supposed to kind of just rework the hits, play the, do the Butlins, Vegas, all of that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? So like, how have you managed to kind of maintain that? Tell me, let's jump forward into that one first. We'll talk about Untitled and everything about, but how does My Love Story come together?
Because what you just said, what we're supposed to do, we're creatives. There's no such thing as supposed to do. We're supposed to do what we feel. And I remember the first time I heard this song by Phyllis Nelson called "Move Closer."
Yeah.
You know, song.
Of course.
And I remember thinking to myself, I want to make people feel the way this woman makes me feel. Yeah. And then I discovered Whitney Houston. Then I discovered Lauryn Hill, and so I was constantly discovering different people. And I was like, wow. And when I became a singer, and I because I used to emulate all these different voices, and then I finally found my voice on Love Fool, which was my first album. Yeah. And that's the first time I heard myself. But then every time I would do a record, it would always people, you should do Neo Soul, you should do this. But each time I kept meeting different people, which is why I started this thing called The Melting Pot. All these different influences kept kind of pushing me out of my comfort zone, which means when once you're outside and you get to experience different people, you're always going to be creating, you're always going to be evolving. So when I wrote My Love Story, the song Finally Over You was the reason why I knew I'm ready. When I went, don't waste your time because I don't really care about your life. I mean every single word I say on that record. And that was the first song I wrote for the album. When I wrote that song and I heard those first opening lines, I was like, I'm ready to do an album because this is the first album I actually wanted to do. Yeah. Everything else happened, but like I did one song and it happened by accident, turned into albums. This was the first album I found. I chose Children of Zeus. I chose the photographer. I said I'm going to put it out on my own label, my distribution company, my publisher, and everything. So this album is an album that I wanted to make, hence why I called it My Love Story, because this is how I got here. So yeah.
I think the track that jumped out to me that I played over and over and over again from that album was "I'm Not the One." That was like, okay,
you're not the one.
Because do you know what though? You know what it is? Because obviously, right, we've known each other over the years, so we get, like, people won't know this about us. We go back, so obviously, like, one extra, that era is probably when we met. Yep. But obviously, because you work with Ty and other people, we had mutual connections, so we would bump into each other at gigs and different things. Yep. And so we just kind of talked over and over again over the years. Yes. And so when I heard that song, it was like, okay, this felt like, okay, this is the person that I know. Oh. Do you see what I mean? When I heard that song, I was like, oh, right, I know Terri. Yeah. And Like that was a kind of a manifestation in song of the character and the person that I've gotten to know.
You're giving me goosebumps saying that. No, seriously, that's what it is.
I create these reactions in people, don't worry.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that it really felt like, oh, okay, this is the person that I've come to know over all these years. And that really felt like, okay, in an actual song. And so that was really fun to listen to. And the other thing that was really fun about that album was obviously, you know, the whole Children of Zeus sound. You can hear their sound, but it's slightly modified because it's with you and everything. And so it was quite exciting as someone who listens to a lot of music to kind of experience that. So tell me a little bit about how that actually comes together. You said you chose Children of Zeus. Do you do that? Do you just say, oi, get in here? How does that work?
Yeah, it's amazing. No, it was because Children of Zeus reached out because there was a point, and I'm sure you felt this too, when we've been in it, because we started out in One Extra over 20 years ago. So in a way, it's like, you know, when you've started something, you kind of planted the seed, you're kind of like the blueprint, and then you create all these little different prototypes, which is great. But when you do the blueprint, anything that doesn't challenge you and push you further, it's not going to inspire you. So what was happening a lot is that I'd be the blueprint and then come out and then everyone, oh, can we do a record like this? And that sounds like this. And then there was a stage in around after I put out my after I put out Untitled. Is it Entitled?
Untitled was your first album.
First album. But there's a process where I worked with S.O.U.L, we did a bunch of stuff. We did a project called Champagne Food. But there was a point when I was I went to New York for 3 years. It was after the Nicole Ray project. That's the one.
Lady.
Yeah, the After Lady project.
Okay.
So I put that out, and then I was trying to, because when I went to New York, no one knew who I was. And then obviously only after they discover, oh, you had a Def Jam deal, and then, but obviously the record with me and Nicole introduced me to the States in a different way. But when I came back to England, everyone already knew who I was, but they didn't know who I was. But then what happened is that, and I don't want to keep talking about this, but in a way, when I got back, and it was a thing for us to kind of, you know, take it further, they wanted us to sign exclusively. And I was like, no, I'm doing projects. When I'm doing my own stuff, I don't sign exclusively to anyone. I'm a creative. So, and because I didn't sign it, they kind of tried to act like I wasn't part of it. So then they carried on with Nicole by herself, which was fine because Nicole wants to do that. But what happened then, it then made me decide I don't want to be around this industry because I'm not feeling it. So I'd be on social media just writing all these essays and poems, sometimes being under the influence of drink or whatever, and be like, listen, and saying whatever I'm saying. And then one day, Connie from Children of Zeus was like, why is Terri Walker out here? Why can't we just talk to her naturally? And we don't understand. So we started having this relationship. Then they must have said to me, oh, can we play you something? We'd really love you to be on our album.
Yes.
So they played me that first, just a little more. Listen, when I had... up to this day when I hear that song, because it's like they were talking my life in that first song, because it was just like, we've been doing it. I think there's a line that Tyler says when he says about throwing the dice, but they don't know what hand I played, kind of thing. Like they think they've got me, but they don't realise what I've kind of left behind, kind of thing. I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. So I ended up doing Slingshot Rhythm with them. The process of working with them is amazing. It's just natural. So that's why. And then after that, obviously, I've done the Breakout EP. I've done a bunch of different stuff after that with Joe Buda. But then it was time for me. Then something else happened with someone annoyed me and got on my nerves. I was like, you know what, I'm done with these people again. But then something happened, and I was like, COVID happened. And I realised COVID happened, and there was like this level playing field of everybody was going through the same thing, and everyone for some reason started to understand what everyone was going through. Remember? All of a sudden everyone was like, oh, I see what it's like. Oh, I could be losing my house. You could be a millionaire, whatever else. And it was a moment where everyone really thought, let's connect, you know? And that's when I made the album. I actually had a part-time job working at this pharmaceutical company that's about like literally down the road from my house, and but then I'd go on a coach and go to Manchester and record the album. And it was just a time where I thought, I just need to make an album that speaks to everyone. Let's understand, because that's why Rhythm of Change. Do what you gotta do, say what you need to say. That literally came off like, you just got to get on with it. Do what you need to do to get you through to the next day so we can just survive. And that's how the album kind of came about. So I just went around the houses to tell the story. But you know.
Listen, I mean, I love that. I'm a talker. That's why you're here. I think I want to go back a little bit and kind of understand how you managed to get your career started. So, thinking about how, because that's often a really key man. And, you and I, we've seen people who are really, really super talented and everything who make one album and we never hear from them again, or never get to make that first album. So how were things for you getting to that point where actually a major label was prepared to kind of put out your first album and take you forward as an artist. So talk us about that part before all of that happened.
Well, the thing is, I didn't want a record deal. I just wanted to sing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened and I think, but I've also tried to really drum into these, especially these up and coming artists. Like, but when I started out, like, I think you saw you people on television. I didn't even really know what the Grammys were, I think, at the time. I was just like, I just saw my favourite artist perform, but I didn't know nothing about record deals, didn't know how it worked. Yeah. I just knew I wanted to sing. And so my mum had a massive record collection, still has. And I remember going to sleep listening to music and waking up listening to music with Caribbean household. So there's always music playing. So I just remember it was just part of my DNA. So anytime I got a chance to sing anywhere or join a choir or whatever, that's what I did. So and I think it was the day when I sang at my dad's funeral. My dad passed away when I was 18, and I sang at his funeral. I wasn't really into my dad because I had my stepdad. I grew up with my mum, and my dad's got like different lots of stories.
Complicated families.
But now I understand his journey, and it's amazing that that's my dad. But I sang at his funeral, and that was the first time I sang in front of like an audience of just literally the full to the brim black people. There was like thousands of people at this funeral because my dad was one of those people that a lot of people loved and knew. And I sang "I Will Always Love You" a cappella, and I remember the room being dead silent, and I remember everyone crying, and I remember then me starting to cry, but I remember there being a moment of like, you're supposed to do this, and everyone saw me, and I saw and felt myself as well, and then that's when I met my first management, because his wife was in the room, and she was like, "Yo, I just came up from this funeral. You need to come and see this girl because she's amazing." And that turned out to be Aaron Hercules. I don't know if you know who Aaron Hercules is. Well,
obviously, we know about Aaron and his being a manager in the business.
Yes, because obviously Hill Street Soul, Body Groove and all that. So he was my first manager. Okay. So he saw me. But when I first met him, though, because I was, obviously the Germany part, I was kind of came fresh because I lived in Germany from the age of 4 until I was 18. And but then when I was 11, I went to boarding school, but I was going back and forth. But I moved to England properly again when I was 18. So when he met me, I was still a bit disconnected to my black side.
You were still a bit Euro, German. Yeah, Euro. How did you have a proper German accent?
Yeah, apparently my friend said to me that I used to sound like I had an accent, and he used to say like I used to sound like I'd wear a beret. He used to tell people that I used to wear a beret. It's like, I never wore a beret, you liar. That's French. That's French, isn't it? Like, I never wore a beret. No, literally. But I'd come here and I used to think I could wash my hair and go. Remember, you can't, as a black person, you can't just wash your hair and go. Yeah. So I used to do a lot of really mad things, like wear polka dot leggings and purple jumpers, because that was a very German. Yeah. I was just very German. So my black family would just be like, "Oh, what said, are you wearing? What is?" Can I say that on here?
Yes, you can.
Jesus Lord. He'd be like, "What Chanel?" But all they'd be like, "Oh, she's German." That's all they'd say. That was the "Oh, she's German." Yeah. They don't say it to me anymore now. Yeah. But that's the German side of her, you know. Yeah. So when I met Aaron, I mean, as I said, I had my hair would be like curly and straight. There'd be other things going on. The outfit was just mad, different colours, and I'm sure he was looking at me thinking, "What is this that you're sending me? What the accent is this that you're sending me?" But then he heard me sing, and he's like, "Oh," and that was what was interesting. So, and I love this is why I like the whole underdog idea of doesn't matter what you look like, but I know, and that was the thing of like I want to make people feel the way that person made me feel, and I managed to achieve that by practicing non-stop. And so by the time I sang at my dad's funeral, by the time I met Aaron, that's how it happened. Yeah.
So all these years that we've known each other, now I've known this thing about you, and you speak fluent German.
Ja, ich spreche fließend Deutsch, ja.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's the first time I've ever heard you speak German. Yeah.
Hast du es nicht gewusst, dass ich Deutsch sprechen kann?
All these years.
This is wirklich...
I mean, I'm assuming... I don't speak German, so I'm assuming that's German. But you could have just made that up. For all I know.
I'm not. Thank you very much. Yes. No, my surname, my stepdad, he adopted me when I was younger. So my mom got married to my stepdad. So my name is actually Chanel Stettenbauer. So I'm a proper German.
Okay, wow.
Ich bin eine richtige Deutsche.
So what does that relationship with Germany? Do you get to Germany very often? Do you kind of does it have a was it a significant point in your music or a venue for your music? Or?
Do you know what? I've one thing about Germany, and the thing is, the first thing people will say, "Oh my God, it must be racist, Nazis." And I have to remember, people keep forgetting Hitler was actually Austrian. He wasn't German. Yeah. And so when I had only had like one racist experience in Germany. That was like this old lady going, "Oh, you telling me the N-word and go back to your country," or whatever. Yeah. That was one woman. But in Germany, growing up, there was Turkish, there was African, there was Yugoslavian, there was there was all these different, again, the melting pot of different people. Yeah. And one thing that I remember that always used to really get us together was the music. Because I remember oh my God, because of the army base, the imports of the American music used to be so straight away. You'd get everything that was in America would come at the same time in Germany. So our music collection was just like up to date. So when Brandy and Monica came out, that was instant. Aaliyah and all the different influences. And I think so. Growing up, in my mind, I thought that Whitney Houston was like, obviously I first heard the Phyllis Nelson record. But when I discovered Whitney Houston, I was like, oh my God, she is. And that's my only influence. Then it was Lauryn Hill. That's my only influence. But then now that I've got older and I've become my own artist, I've realised Anita Baker, my goodness, Aretha Franklin, Nina Simone, Tina Turner, Eurythmics, even do you remember Karma and Ali?
Yeah.
Like, there was records. Dixie's oh my God, I still love that video.
Yeah.
Do you remember Out the Door that did James Addiction?
Yeah.
David Bowie. There were certain records that I didn't realise.
Yeah.
There was like osmosis. So at the time I'm thinking I'm only an R&B person, I only like soul, whatever else. But it turns out there was so many different layers because I grew up in a country that was predominantly white. But obviously just love, because Germany loves music. Yeah. And one thing about that, and one thing what I really discovered and noticed over there, like Whoopi Goldberg was one of the biggest. They loved her. And I remember when Sister Act 1 came out, the whole of Germany was just like obsessed. But when Sister Act 2 came out, I remember me and my friend, we went to watch it in Germany. We went to the cinema.
Subs or dubs?
No, they would dub it, yeah.
They would dub it in German.
Yeah, which is always really weird. I know, but now it's weird because it's true, because the voices would be so high pitched and so different, wouldn't even match the actual, but it would kind of match it. Yeah. But I remember me and my friend, we went to the cinema one time, and one day we went to watch it 3 times back to back. Because I remember seeing Lauryn Hill for the first time, and this is before Lauryn Hill was obviously in Fuji. So if you forget when you actually get to see Lauryn Hill, you kind of know, but you don't. I didn't realize that was the same person. Yeah. But I remember Lauryn Hill just had me when she sings "Joyful, Joyful," when she sings "His Eyes on the Sparrow." When at the end, when she's like, "Oh," just even now, just like, it makes me emotional just thinking about it. But obviously, then seeing how Whoopi Goldberg was this character, and she was, dark skinned. She had her dreads, and she wasn't the conventional long haired, light skinned people. But they loved her, and also she was so powerful because she would introduce you to different things. And everyone would just accept it, because it was Whoopi Goldberg. So when I came back to England, I started to realise, like, when people always say about our black women not respected, but we actually influence so much, and we open so many doors for people. And a lot of people that respect it, as I said, when you think about Colour Purple, her and Steven Spielberg, when you think about her and Ghost, her and Patrick Swayze, when you think about her, it's always her actually collaborating with somebody that understands what our thing is and giving us the platform. So, and one thing I learned about, what I realised in Germany, was that they understood this about black women. But when I came here, he was like, "Oh, they're trying to hold us down." But what are you talking about? Right now, you got loose women, you got 4 black women. They alternate this. I don't get it. So that's the thing that I didn't understand about. We've got the whole world, like especially where we're at now. The world, we have access to the whole world with just one tap of a finger. Once I put a song out, the whole world sees it. It's not just England that's going to see it.
And do you think that sort of perspective comes from the fact that you grew up in Germany and the UK, and
because when I came back to England, the same things that we loved as black people in America, we loved over here. So when black people like something, we like something. That's one thing, and we all unanimously, soul to soul. Yeah. There's a video of Lisa Stansfield performing at what's that place? The Apollo. Yeah. And she's standing on stage. It's a sea of black people, and everyone's dancing to "Keep It On," and the whole everyone's doing. And you know when black people are like, when we like something, we go, and she's on stage jumping, and I'm like, that's the power of us. And it doesn't matter where you are, when you feel that vibration. Yeah. And that's one thing that I got to see in Germany, because I end up being around predominantly white people, but when they love the culture, they love the culture. Yeah. But when I came over here, I realised I was a bit disconnected to my Caribbean side, because obviously my mum would listen to a lot of Bob, and she'd listen to a lot of different things. But I used to call it a chingy music. Oh God, I don't know. I'm really exposing myself today, innit? Like, you can't say the talk loud, but now I've gotten older. I've got a song I remember on the album, and it's like it was part of me. You know, like when your mum always gives you that same soup, you're like, oh, I don't didn't eat that soup anymore. But then when you realise you get older, like, I love that soup. That's one of my favourite soups. What are you talking about? So now reggae is like it's in my DNA. Yeah. But growing up, when you're kind of, and I think that's what I realised growing up in Germany, I disassociate myself from it, because I thought I'm so many different things. I didn't see myself as Caribbean. Yeah. When I came back to England now, I'm like, I don't know where this Jamaican yardie woman comes out. She comes out every once in a while. I'm like, where does this woman come from? I don't know who this woman is. But I know she's been there the whole time. Yeah. So, and I think Germany really made me understand how much my mom, especially her being a very strong, independent, no-nonsense Jamaican in Germany, just running things. Yeah. And I see it like, wow, you were this powerhouse. But I didn't see the UK side, I just saw the Caribbean side. But her influence and her impact on everyone that experienced her in Germany is something that then made me look at the world differently. Because I'm like, wherever we go, we're that. So that's it.
So let's talk a little bit about, because obviously you've done the whole music career thing from on both angles. You've been a major label artist,
yes,
on a big international global label, and you've also done it independently, controlling yourself. So let's talk a little bit about, we talked a little bit about how you got onto a major label in the first place. You weren't even trying to do that.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But so when that ends, what's that like?
See, this is the thing what a lot of people don't realise. I didn't get dropped. I told them to let me go because I'm sure you remember. So after the first album, it was obviously critically acclaimed, all the most deaf great. But the second album, remember the video of Whoopsie Daisy?
Yeah.
You know what? In a way, now I forgive myself for it. But at the time, again, so I said I didn't care about getting a deal. So when I got the deal, I was like, oh God, I've got a deal. But everyone, and I didn't realize a lot of people that I was attracting, they were more like, oh, she's a major artist. I thought people were listening to me singing. I thought they were, because they knew who I was. But it was more, I was Def Jam, and it was most deaf, and it was, and obviously I could perform and sing whatever else. But a lot of it happened because of everybody. It was a connection of people influencing me, and that's how I got my deal. Because as far as I'm concerned, I didn't get my deal by myself. All those people that collaborated with me, and some people heard me singing, it's because of all those influences. So it wasn't about me. But then by the time the first album finished and it was time to do the second album, it was like, oh, it's just Terri Walker. So everyone thought I'm just the only person that knows what she's doing. I'm like, but guys, and that's the reason why I called my album Untitled in the first place, is to let people know I don't know what I'm doing. I said this all the time, but no one wanted to hear me. I'm like, guys, I'm figuring it out. Untitled, this is what it is. There's neo-soul record on it, there's a pop record on it, there's so many, if you actually listen to the album, there's different, but everyone only focused on the the most deaf record or the drawing board or Ching Ching. So
but drawing board was
come on, listen. Every guess all of them songs, they all had their own little thing.
Yeah.
But until you listen to the whole album, and once you get to know me, and when you listen back to the album now, it's gonna oh, okay, you get it. But at the time, I was still figuring it out. So by the second album, it was like, okay, yes, great, everyone loves you, but we need to make some money. I'm like, okay, cool. Obviously, I'm like, okay, I'm just happy to be here. I'm singing, come, let's do whatever, So Jamelia at the time was massive with Superstar. Yeah. Obviously, Beyonce with Crazy in Love was like, come on, you couldn't get away from Beyonce. And obviously, there's me, my little quirky, still German, mad Jamaican self, whatever Jamaican self that I was doing. I was like, hi guys, I'm having a video. Yeah, that was me. So I was like, okay, whatever I need to do. So they put me in the session with Cutfather Joe, bless them. They were a lovely guy, and this guy called Remy. And he's the one that wrote Superstar for Jamelia, and they're the ones that produced it for that record. And and obviously at the time, because I was classically trained, I could sing anything. So I was like a chameleon. So whatever and I pick up things quickly. So they wrote this song for me, which they actually wrote. And then I just sang it. And at the time, I was like, oh my God, because I executed it well. Then the video is where I think, where it goes on, because they styled me. And it's like a bad version of Beyonce's Crazy in Love. Like, they got me in the wig and I'm doing all this. Oh my God. I'm booty shit. I'm not that type of artist. I don't do choreography. I just do little vibes, but I don't do no... Yeah. That's not happening. So now
sorry, and anybody who's listening to this, listen, make sure that you go onto YouTube and watch that. Right? You need to have seen that. You can't just have listened to it. In fact, if you can insert the video, just so you guys can understand how diabolical it was. It was diabolical. So now when I look it back, and even the way I'm walking, everything about the video, but when I look back on it now, and I remember after that dropped, because This Is My Time was meant to be the first song of the album. Yeah. But they decided to go with Whoopsie Daisy because they thought that's the pop record. Yeah. And it's funny enough, it's actually my highest charted record, which usually is always the case. The song that isn't it. So, but it introduced me to a whole new audience, which is great. But it wasn't meant to be my audience. So after that happened, then we still put out This Is My Time, great video. But by that point, the momentum had gone, because obviously Whoopsie Daisy mashed up the whole thing, and everyone. It was like, so people said to me, are you okay? What happened? But that's what I used to love about at the time, what I loved about all of you lot, because all of you lot would be like, okay, we love you, but what's going on? Yeah. Blink twice for help, or blink 3 times for whatever. So a lot of people came to the video. So I remember then having a meeting, because I was managed by Jonathan Shalit by that point, and then he goes to me, I should have a meeting with the MD just to talk about, how to move forward. And then I remember meeting with Jason Eiley, and my mum was meant to come with me. She's like, no, just go. I think you need to go by yourself, because you need to start doing these things by yourself, because you need to know what you're doing. So I had a meeting with him, and he goes, what happened? He said to me, what happened to Terri Walker, man? Yeah. That's the first thing he said to me. And I said to him, you know what, just let me go. That's it. I said, just let me go, because I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just going to be hemorrhaging money. And then from that day on, I left. And they've never stopped me from putting out stuff. I've never stopped performing. And this is what, from the outside looking in, it's like, she got dropped. I never got dropped. Yeah. I just said, let me go. And then what's even more funny is that
after I left, I made an album called I Am, which is like an independent album. I did by myself with a lot of the producers from that first album. And my friend, who's actually my PR company now, she was still at the label. And I was getting great. Oh my God, the reviews were so great. It's like, yes, this is the album she should have made secondly. And she said they were in a meeting and they were like, yo, is this record going to work? Like, she's left us now. And like, this looks kind of mad because we're a major. She's independent. She's getting all these great reviews. And she said, yeah, they were talking in the meeting like, and I wasn't even there anymore. So that's how I knew God.
But the point is, I think there's a real lesson in there for labels and for producers and for people that are trying to contribute to people's careers, because ultimately it sounds to me like essentially they didn't listen to who you were.
No.
And if they had, that they would have gotten many more albums.
But to be fair, and this is what I always say to everybody, I take accountability and ownership because I didn't know. So people could, because I know what I'm feeling because I've experienced, because I grew up in Germany, but until you've experienced what I've experienced, until you've seen what I've seen, doesn't matter how much time I tell you something. And I remember, you have to remember, I was 18 when I first started out, and when I did Shanks and Bigfoot actually before I got signed. Then I got signed when I was 21. I released the album when I was 23, but I got signed when I was 21. So I was still a kid, really.
Yeah.
So me even saying, and this is the reason why when everyone after that came after me, like Estelle, because Estelle would reach out to me and Amy would be like, Amy used to love my first album. And I used to love, and the reason why I'm so proud of myself and even all of them, because all of those people that became big after me, they were all telling me that how much my first album inspired them. So, but then the thing is, what those people didn't understand is that I didn't have, like, they had a vision and a plan for themselves. I didn't. I was just happy to be there. Yeah. But now I'm in a place of where that vision that they had then, I have it now. Yeah. But that was 20 years. That's 20 years in the making now. You know. And I think that's what I tried to explain to people, because when I first saw Whitney or first saw Lauren, that was me dreaming of that idea, but not necessarily wanting to be, because I didn't really see myself as a songwriter. Yeah. Now, you can't chat to me now. Listen, I write a song and I'm like, I know if it doesn't make sense, if it's not something I can relate to, because everything I want to see when I'm on stage, when I'm performing, I want you to understand that I know what I'm talking about. I'm not just singing la 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 for the sake of it, you know? And I think every song, every album that I've made, every song starts off with a song saying, you know, loveful. That was actually a real life experience. Me saying like, listen, I'm not no idiot. Go away. Yeah. So this is my time. You're sick and tired of going through the motions. You don't really know what to say. That was something that I was going through. I am that twinkling. Yeah, like all of those songs. And then obviously Finally Over You. Yeah. I know Entitled. How can you be mad when you've been stalling? I've been waiting on you. Like every single album that I've started always starts off with a song telling you, I know what I'm doing, but then the rest of it would happen. But this last album was the first album that I said, this all has to make sense. And I have to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. There's none of this happening by accident. Yeah, and I think, like I said, I think that, that the person that you are that I know comes across in your most recent album. So I love in my love story, you can, it sounds like you. And I think, and it's really interesting because the DJs and the music tastemakers, they reacted. I mean, it was really positive. It felt like the album did really well. I mean, so how, like, from your point of view, how did it go? Listen, it went straight to number one in iTunes. Yeah, instant. Because I put it out on just physically. Not physically. I only just put it out online. It went straight to number one on iTunes. So, and then also Maurice from Rampage, she was my radio plugger, and he showed me the reports. He said literally every single person was like, yo, she's back. But again, my thing was, whenever, don't waste your time, because I don't really. When I knew that it didn't matter how long it took because it's been 3 years since I put it out. So then I wanted to do like a remix package of it, but no one was getting it. And then Zed Bias came out of nowhere and was like, I'd like to remix one song, end up remixing the whole package. So there's like a whole remix album of the album, which is just as amazing. But it's only after the 3 years now, people now, as you just said, sitting there, I'm talking about it. When I'm saying those words now, oh, she really meant that. Like, why are you fighting me? Your insecurities are just so plain. It's nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not the one. Stop it. I don't live a lie. Yeah. And I've never lived a lie. But, me saying that to you, people can talk all day long. Until you see it, proof is in the pudding. Yeah. You know? So, are we going, now that you've kind of got this sort of clarity about your artistic vision. Yeah. And it's been 3 years, like you said. Is there another album is there another album in you? What's happening? Listen, I feel like I think I just scratched the surface. I haven't even started yet. I feel like this is the beginning of me, but at the same time, do you remember there's a song on my album called What Will I Do? Yeah. There's a guy singing on it called Blue, but my label at the time didn't feature. It only featured Mos Def because he was the name. Just because he was an unknown artist, but his name's Blue.
Yeah.
His name was Blue Blood at the time, but Blue. But his younger brother is Angel. Then his other young brother is Akel from Western and Hailey from Western.
Yeah.
And Progression, those are his cousins. So, and I remember him bringing into the house and seeing Angel with his dreads down to his bottom and playing music, whatever. So I'm about to put out his album for the first time. And when you hear the music.
So are you now like you're putting out other artists?
Yes.
You're like a label head mogul type. Oh right, is that what's going on now?
At the same time, I've got a project dropping with him and Stilo, which is gonna kind of connect the dots to his album. And then obviously once I go along, if I make an album, I make it. If not, I put a song out there, here or there, I will. But it's literally now I'm letting you guys, because the label's called Wings of a Hummingbird Records. So, and I didn't realize that the hummingbird was the Jamaican national bird. I didn't even know that until after. See, all these things. See, I was like, it just sounds, hummingbird singing, it just sounds great.
Yeah.
Wings of the hummingbird is Jamaica's national bird. I was like, no way. Couldn't make this stuff up. But again, I just trusted my purpose. So, that's where I'm going next. Whatever, like, there's no right or wrong. There's no formula. There's no time restrictions or whatever else. It's all about if it feels right, we're doing it. So like even like now I'm talking to my artist, he's like, oh, so what do you think of this idea? And I'm like, listen, I'm here, whatever you want to do, but this is your album, but I'm here to kind of I'm here like a sounding board for you, you know? Yeah. But ultimately it has to be, I also said to him that ultimately it has to be because that's one thing I've learned from the first album to the second album. The first one was me just trusting my gut and everyone just listening to me, but the minute it came out, they stopped listening to me and they realised, you know, I became a name. I was like, okay, so how do we make money from this? But if everyone would have carried on listening to me, it would have been a different situation. Yeah. But and what happens is when people then become, or even when people become successful, they think, oh, but this is the audience that you worked with. No, that audience that first met, they didn't know who you were when you first started out. And this is the reason why your music was so dope, because you was just trusting yourself. So when you start listening to everyone else and, oh, but I can't say this and I can't do this and I can't, then you end up becoming... Yeah,
it's very difficult, I guess, to switch off all of that noise and work out what's the stuff from, because imagine all these different voices coming at you. Some of it is going to be useful. Yeah. And working out what's the useful stuff and what's the stuff that you should be ignoring is a skill in itself, I guess. Yeah.
And that's when I left the label. I started to realise how much people were pulling strings behind my back that I didn't know about. Yeah. So there's things that were happening that I didn't even know that. But obviously from the outside looking in, everyone thinks that I knew. Yeah. And then there's a lot of relationships that I had to rebuild with people that I was like, no, but I wouldn't. But obviously, why would they believe that? Because no, why would they? Because from the outside, it just looks like I'm just out here thriving on stage doing my thing. Because me, half the time, I want everyone in the room that I'm working with to be on the same page. If someone is not happy, you know, if you can find a way to balance it out, that's it. And that's how I got signed initially, because everyone that I worked with, it was a team. And this is why even me doing my show at So Radio, even my night that I do every last Friday of the month in Chip Shop, it's all about community. It's always been about community for me. And it was always going to be, because that's how I got here.
So let's talk about you as a live artist, when we can see you next, and what and talk to us about how you kind of do the live thing now.
Well, this is the thing. So this is the first time, as I said, in the 3 years where I've like I let the music marinate, and now people I'm getting booked again for headline shows, because there's a point. Listen, I couldn't get arrested after the lady stuff. People just weren't booking me. In fact, even people play a song that I'm on, but they wouldn't say my. And I noticed the shift. There was a shift where people might be playing my music, but they wouldn't say my name. Whilst before, be like, Terri Walker, da da da. And you noticed it, because you know how radio works. And you know, usually if you're playing a song, you'd introduce it in a way, and that's how you help the artist. That's how people get introduced to the artist. And I started to notice because I think the more, as I said before, I said I didn't know what I was doing. But when I started to realise that I did know what I was doing, I would say, I know what I'm doing now. It's like certain people didn't like that. Sure. And then I started to notice the shift and the pushback of certain things. I was like, But again, when I always say I hold myself accountable, because I was always so honest about it. And sometimes if someone says something to me that I think is off, I address it there and then. I don't do the whole, was that weird? Or, you know, you go a week later and go, actually, that felt a bit. And when you address it a week later, you can't remember exactly what was said or how it was said. And I didn't say it like that. That wasn't my tone. But it was your tone. I remember that tone that day. But it's like, so when people take long to, and I don't know if I'm on the spectrum or something, because I have this thing where I can't, I'm so black and white. Yeah. Like, if you disrespect, I'm like, did you disrespect me? Did you discuss me? And that person's like, no. And I'm like, yeah, I did actually. So, but I'm one of those people, I'm so direct. So what would happen, especially like before I got back to this place, there's a lot of people that would come up to me that would reach out and want to work, and then they'd ask me for my advice, and I'd be quite straightforward. And then there's some people don't want to hear, I think they say they want to hear the truth, but they don't really want to hear the truth. I
get that. I think the thing is, I think people have an idea, like, so they want you to say the thing that they want to hear.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't say the thing that they want to hear because it's not right.
Because one time someone asked me to listen to their partner's music.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God, babe. Listen, up to this day. But, I don't regret it because, like, she asked me and I listened to it and I was like, I'm not really feeling... Oh, my God, who told me to do that? Now. It was... And for ages... And it was so weird. They just acted so weird towards me. You can't ask me to listen to something if it's not good and then to lie to you, because then that means I'm lying to myself.
Yeah, and
how dare you?
And ultimately, you're not helping. You know what I mean? The thing is that you could, like, you could tell people that their music is good and it's not, and they could waste a decade of their life kind of pursuing a thing that they just ain't for them.
And the one thing people need to understand, my mum's Jamaican. Like, if I come downstairs and I wear a certain outfit, mum like, why you have to embarrass me? Why you have to put on, like, the thing too tight? Wear something different. So I'll come from a place of, I was prepared for rejection in this world because my mum prepared me. You look so pretty today. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, my mum, she used to write on CDs if she did like the song. I love this song. Rubbish. And capital letters, she'd write rubbish.
Wow.
So this is what I grew up on. But when my mum got it, she'd be the first one on stage crying, like bawling, like, oh, look, Mama, dance. I keep doing this accent. She doesn't talk like that, by the way. She's like, see, you stop making me out like I talk that way. You do. But literally, I come from a place of, you have to, like, I think with us, there's no such thing as mediocre. We don't do mediocre.
Especially in the music
we can't, man. Because we know when we go out there, it's like, our music just, it sets the tone. So if you ask me to listen to something, it's nonsense. I'm not going to lie to you about it. Because I want you to do the same for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So the reason if I'd ask you for an opinion on something, especially do podcast, you're going to give me the truth, like, Terry, speak, because I know I speak quite fast, speak slow, or,
No, this is good. We'll put subtitles or something on it, don't we? It'll be okay.
Okay.
One of the things, so what are you going to be doing with the live show now? Are you going to take out a live band? Are you going to do, how are you going to do this?
Well, my live band has always been there. It's just that for me now is pay me, or because a lot of people, can you do a headline? Can we have a show of a band? But we've only got like £500. Excuse me, £500. Can just about pay for the rehearsals? Do you know what I mean? Like, because obviously there has to be rehearsals, then each band member has to get their fee. Then there's a PDM. Then there's and people understand it costs money to do especially a live band show, and also if they're not going to promote it properly, for your return. So. But my whole aim, and people will say, don't tell people your ideas, but initially I want to start my own festival at some point. So the Melting Pot, the radio show, right, I've had on Omar, Danae, I've had Goldie, I've had Jules Holland, I've had so much people on my radio show that obviously seemed Katie B the other day, Kelly LaRock. So I've had people around. Everyone's just, when I'm saying I want to do something, everyone's ready to go. So, and because I've worked with Children of Zeus and Goldie, and I've worked with, even like when I think about Floetry, I could have all these different stages of people that could headline their own stages. Yeah. And it turns into a festival for. I remember I've worked with Andy Nicholson from Arctic Monkeys, for instance. So all these people, and obviously as well, not realising that, when I have a song, some of these songs would get turned into remixes. And funny enough, I had an amazing meeting with Simon Dunmore. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he's. Do you know who Defected Records?
Yeah, cool.
So basically, he's the one that founded Defected. He sold it 3 years ago, but now he's kind of coming back with something different. But like he would, every record that I'd have out that was like a house record, he'd sign it straight away. So that also tells you the sets you kind of levels of the people that get what I'm doing. So so it'd be a thing of I could have different genres like drum and bass scene, or and there's endless possibilities really. So
that's what you're going to do, a festival.
Yeah, that's my aim. So, but right now I'm just kind of getting my name out again, because obviously people, and also there's something going on with my voice where there's a point where my voice would keep cutting out. I felt like my voice chakras were like, there was something stopping me. But when I'm singing now, I'm hitting all the notes. My sister would come to the shows and be like, "You didn't hit that note. I heard you. I know you tried to make a joke in that point, because I know what you did. I know you did that. I heard that. You didn't hit the note. I saw you." I'm like, "Oh my God, how did she notice everything?" Because I was in this place where I was still in my head. Now I'm hitting all those notes again. So yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to be back on stage headlining. I mean, until the money's right, it might just be a PA for now. Yeah. But until the money's right. Yeah. There won't be no like full band shows, but there'll be like maybe 4-piece band shows without BVs. But eventually, I want it to be like how when I started, brass section, 3 BVs, drums with bass. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Outfit changes and all of that. Do you know? Right now, you're getting budget, Terry. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what you're getting, because that's the money you're giving me. But eventually, initially, the music, I want you to be able to come and know the fact that you even listened to the album and said that this is me. I want people to come because they know why they. Because I find there's a lot of people that are Terri Walker fans, but don't know what version of Terri that they like.
Yeah.
So when they come to my show, oh, sing Drawing Board, oh, sing Missing You, oh, sing this song, oh, sing Lady, and then all the other stuff. They're like, anyone that comes to my thing now, my love story, understands now. Yeah. If you come to see me now, I understand there's a whole journey that got me here. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. So look, before I kind of wrap this up, I really want to kind of get into this thing because you've kind of done so much stuff and you've got so much experience. So what are you saying to people now when trying to kind of come into this business?
I would say to kids, just keep trusting, keep listening to us, because I think what I find a lot of people don't listen to themselves. A lot of people listen to everyone else, but they don't listen to themselves. Yeah. So every time when you're talking about, because I remember when I loved, and I've never really said this out loud, but Children of Zeus' first album, I loved it so much because it's like, I'm Still Standing, all those records. And the second album made me sad because I felt like, because obviously that was around COVID times and they just felt like they felt a bit lost. But the first album was like, listen, don't let anyone tell you, just do what you need to do. And I remember kind of saying to him, guys, I know you're going through it, but do you remember, look at what you guys did the first time around. I think what I just want everyone to just remember is just remember who you are.
But that's the thing that's really interesting in the era of AI music, this whole idea of, how do you stand out? How do you do something? You retreat into who you are, because the AI can't do that until you've done it. It can't imitate it or emulate it.
There you go. So and that's what I tried to explain to me. This is why, like, for me, I've never made the same record twice. Like, we want to love a guest, you didn't love a drawing board. Anyone, I'm like, or even when people ask me to do something and they want me to sing, like, I'm not going to do something I've done before. The whole point is I'm a creative. So if you want me to come and do something, ask Terri Walker to come. Don't ask me to do something that's already been done before. So, and I think it's really important for people to understand, like, that's the reason why I can still create and why I'm still excited, because if you inspire me and you're influenced, we can work all day long. But if I can see that you're still stuck in that, I don't work well with people that listen to everyone else and don't have their own. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's why you coming in to invite me, and I said, like, of course, Iyare. It's like, you don't have to explain this to you, because I know anything you do is forward thinking.
That's very sweet of you to say. It's so great to come. I'm so glad that you're still making music, that we can still kind of, that you're building your label, that you're doing all the things that you want to do, and it's just amazing to have had you here today and for you to take the time and be part of this today. And thank you so much for being on the Soulcast.
Thank you for having me.
Like and subscribe.